Okay. We're getting ready to bring up this will be like the first time during the Freshniz that we brought up artists of all different types, and I know a lot of times we talk about art and art being it being transcended and also being outside the box and realizing that art is art. And with that being the fact, we're going to bring up Midlands Capoeira. Could you gentlemen come up? So, how you gentlemen doing today? And could you introduce yourselves for me, please?
I'm doing quite nicely. Just came back from class. My name is Jelani Thomas, and I'm from Miami, Florida.
My name is Brian Glisson. I'm from here.
Okay. So we've been with the line of questioning. Start with how long have you guys been practicing the style?
12 years. 12 years. It's funny the way that it even came about. You know, I had heard about capoeira just roughly through video games, and you know, just it's a martial art, by the way, and it's just kind of the thing that kind of came around. And I found myself in Savannah in grad school, and I was having this conversation with this brother. I forgot his name, and we were talking about just trying to find some commonality. You know, he was an older fellow, grad student, so we were saying, what do you like to do? It's like, well, I like tennis. I play tennis a little bit. I kind of like, you know, roller skating. I was like, all right, well, you know, how about martial arts? I was like, yeah, I like martial arts. Next thing I know, we're having this conversation about capoeira. I was like, capoeira? Like Savannah? He's like, yeah. And just then, he said he had a friend that knew it, and then his friend pulled up. And pretty much from that moment, I was excited about it, and once I got my first class, I was hooked. And that was in the summer of 2000. I've been doing it steadily ever since.
Wow. What about you?
And my history is starts around the same time. Likewise, saw the movie Only the Strong. If you guys don't know about it, it's a movie that basically it shows capoeira, and it's kind of like everybody knows about this movie. So I saw the movie, and I met some guys in my dorm room who were, I see them doing all these flips, and I'm like, oh man, what is that? Like, capoeira. I'm like, okay. So I started practicing with these guys, you know, and just like every night in the back of the dorm, we just be back there just playing the game, you know, just doing it. And then one of the guys actually took a class with his teacher and our teacher, and I guess word got back to our teacher that, oh, these guys are playing capoeira, you know, and I thought I was doing capoeira, you know, so he sent word to his student, tell those guys to come up to our class, and they have a free class, and you know, let's see what they know. So we came up there, and we weren't doing capoeira, capoeira Angola, basically.
Yeah.
So and ever since then, I took a class with them, and I think I started maybe like a couple months after Jelani, consistently. And it's been ever since then.
So where I have to ask this question now. So where, when you started studying, you said Savannah. So was this taking place in Savannah?
Savannah, Georgia. We were both students at SCAD, and we had about 3 different locations down there. But I think the best one was on MLK. Nice little strip where it goes from like nice architecture, things going, it makes you feel like you want to walk down there, and as soon as you walk under the bridge, you might want to pay attention to what's going on. But that was still a great location, and I think we really got a chance to build there. We were grassrooting with our teacher, Metro Chicago, and it was just a really good time for us to kind of see him in his early development as a teacher, and now it's kind of taking on the charge and trying to do the same thing here.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if folks are familiar with this movie. It's a movie that, you want to get ready to ask? It's a movie I had the pleasure of seeing, and I have it in my collection. well, I can't remember how long it's been since I actually seen it. It's been a good while since I've seen it. One of my favorites. I played it, killed it. But name of the movie, I don't know if I'm even going to do it justice by trying to pronounce it, but I am going to try. There you go, Quilombo. That's it. And if you ever get a chance to see that movie, well, you should if you haven't seen it. It's a really good movie. But I bring that movie up because they were actually practicing the art in that movie. They were performing some of the art in that movie. And so I have to ask, what is the relevance of where it came from? Can you give us some history of where it came from, how it developed, and maybe what is it like now? How is it transformed, and how has it become something maybe for the time and era that we're living in now?
Okay, that's a good one. Open the banks up for that. See, capoeira it's rooted. We like to call it a black art. It's black martial art. That right there kind of gets the attention. Like, what is that all about? It's rooted in the Congo and Angola region of Africa. There's the idea, the start that I've heard of it is a dance called the Ngolo dance, which is referred to as the zebra dance. And it was sort of a way for a young man to show his athletic prowess. And from what I'm hearing, if you were good at this, then you can actually get your bride without having to pay the bride price, which, you know, is quite a nice thing if you can get away, you know, holding some cows and such. But from there, you know, things get a little fuzzy as to how everything develops, right? But you've got slavery going on, you have the Middle Passage, all these different entities are coming together. You know, I think I want to say that in the islands, in the Caribbean, a lot of things begin to kind of come together, and you can see it still there. But it went further on into Brazil, and that's where you had a lot of your enslaved Africans and subsequently Afro-Brazilians who had began. I think there was the first revolt was in Recife, and that's when they started to go and climb. And there was a revolution where they burnt down the house, they liberated themselves, and they went to the bush. And the bush was very difficult to navigate, so to my understanding, they ran into some natives there, and everybody was just going to higher and higher ground, which is where they eventually ran into the first Quilombo, talking about the movie, where it was like a sort of a palm village where it was plains and people could exist there. And then from that point, people would begin to go and try to liberate other enslaved Africans and Afro-Brazilians. And this martial art that they were using, this shifty sort of, well, I don't think it was very dance heavy at the moment, but this shifty martial art was being used to help liberate people, go, you know, push it from there. And then from there, you had the authorities, both the Portuguese and the British, the Portuguese and the Dutch, tried to invade the Colombos, but they weren't very successful at it. But from time to time, they would get some people and bring them back. And so when those people were recaptured, that's when really I think the birth of what we would think of as capoeira started really coming together, because what happened was, in order to practice this on the plantations, this martial art in a way that didn't seem like a martial art, what they started doing was hiding it a little bit more with this dance, and then covering that dance, you know, with some music. And it's from there that people begin to say, oh, that sounds interesting, but martially, like, oh, really, can you fight with that is the question we always get. You know, it just seems like you guys are just dancing like it's breakdancing and karate or something like that. But the fight was very effective. It's just that it has gone over these changes, you know, and you still see it in the game today. Fast forward a good 400 years, I'm sorry, but I have to like get it all in. Yeah. Today, capoeira is, I think, like a movement for health. You know, it's fun, but it's taxing. I mean, it's acrobatic, it's dance, it's fight, it's tradition, it's singing, it's music. There's just so many different elements to it. It's really hard to actually discuss, but you just have to experience it. And when you see it, it makes sense, and it just grabs into you. It's referred to as a game today because of the nature of the way that people do capoeira. So if someone throws a kick, it's like asking a question, hello, how are you? And then the answer to the question is you get out the way. It's like, oh, I'm fine, thanks. How's your day going? And then like any conversation, it might be flowing, or it might turn into a bit of a debate, and that debate might get a little heated, and then you have a full-on argument. But that's kind of what capoeira looks like today. Is there anything you want to add into that, sir?
That was beautiful.
Thank you. I tried.
So are there any other forms of capoeira? So you mentioned Angola, so
yes, yes.
Or styles of that style.
To the way that I've looked at it, because unfortunately, so many things have not been well documented. So you really have to take it all with a grain of salt and begin to put some things together, make it make sense. So, in the way I like to say this, in the way that you have different styles of people playing basketball. The street ball in Miami is different from street ball in Chicago, different from street ball in New York, and then street ball is different from collegiate ball. Collegiate is different from professional. In that way, I think capoeira was just all around and different. Right? But what began to happen is you had a couple key figures, particularly Mestre Bimba, who took capoeira from being this dirty, seedy thing that you can, be incarcerated for doing, if not killed for doing, and he brought it out of that light, and he was able to do a performance for the people at the time, and that just wowed them, and from there they just made it a legalized thing. So capoeira regional, which is what most people think of when they see capoeira, regional fight of Bahia. It's really flamboyant, it's got a lot of things going to it, and especially today, right now, there's so much acrobatics, it looks like a performance in and of itself. And that really solidified one style. And then I think to counter that, Mestre Pastinha, who's very important to our lineage, because our teacher, Mestre Chicago, was a student of Mestre João Grande, who was a direct student of Mestre Pastinha. So Pastinha coined the term Capoeira Angola. And it was just really to make reference to the traditional way of things. So even though there's so many different styles, these two, Capoeira Regional and Capoeira Angola, became the two lead figures of it. And I think even today you still have people playing the game in different ways.
Around what year, if you could give that to us, what year was it legalized? Because the reason why I'm asking too is because just to bring to light, a lot of people don't realize practicing that style, like you were saying, get you incarcerated, get you killed, because you shouldn't have been doing it.
Exactly, and for the longest time, because eventually they caught on to what was happening, and they realized that this was empowering the enslaved Africans and Afro-Brazilians, so it became, outlawed and banned, and that tradition sort of kept on because it went from being this thing that people were doing in the bush to this thing that people were doing in the streets, and pimps and hustlers and gangsters and all that stuff. It really has a big history in Brazil. But I think it was early 70s, I want to say 1973, where Bemba got his first school legalized, or when he did the performance that led to that legalization. So it was in the 1970s that it started. So,
And see, that's a wild thing for something like that, because you think to yourself, 70s, you thinking as far as people have an open mind, so you say across the board, and that people were still being prosecuted up until that point for simply just practicing something, not using it but practicing it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you said it, it just clicked.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. It's the lights. It's the deer lights. literally last night I was on a motorcycle and a deer jumped by, and I'm getting flashbacks. 1970s is when it came to the States.
Okay.
1930, early 1930s.
Okay.
Big difference.
30, okay, yeah.
It does begin to set the difference. That's when it really started. So please forgive me for that.
Okay. What's the purpose and goal of Midlands Capoeira? If you tell us that. What are you gentlemen?
On time, man.
Yeah.
Well, from my perspective, it's a communal art. We're trying to provide it. We've been trying for 3 years. Trying to promote it. Primarily, we've been promoting it to adults. We haven't reached out to the children yet, but just trying to use it as an art to, bring the community in, to learn something new, something different. Not many people have seen it, know about it, so there's a hesitancy, So just something that we're trying to introduce to the community. I think we're the first to bring it here.
to do it
to
in the
Colombia.
way they're doing it. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Solid.
yeah, I've seen the video footage that was shot and whatnot, and I can tell that it's serious.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, it really breaks down so many barriers between people. It's in the way that dance can do that. You know, you don't need to speak the same language. In fact, we have some new people, and the guys he's from Bahia, and he's speaking, you know, Portuguese. It's a beautiful thing. And of course, we feel a little weird because we don't speak the language. We sing songs in the language, and every time we begin to sing, it's like, oh, we're saying this right. So I know he's polite when he corrects us, but it's amazing when we're just on instrumentation with him. Even though we can't have a flat-out conversation with this man, the music, you can feel it, like the jazz syncope, it just goes, and we're just having that conversation, even though he actually doesn't play the game of capoeira, you know, with us. So it's just got this great power to bring people from different walks of life together, like you would not believe. I think so many different religions, so many different philosophies with, you know, how to live life, anywhere from doctors and lawyers to street hustlers. It's really quite interesting to see everybody together doing this thing and just enjoying it. And there's a certain essence, I think, that happens when you're really involved in something physical, be it fighting or be it dancing, where you just have to put yourself out there and just let it be and let people see you for who you are. There's not a lot of hiding going on. I think there's a certain genuineness about that. And it really has the power to transform people, which is why we're trying to just get a solid base going so we can take it to the youth with numbers so they can begin to see it. So that's kind of where the push is for what we're doing.
Right now, where are you all based out of? Where are you all actually holding classes at?
We've got our home school, if you can call it that, at North Springs Park and Rec. It's off of Clemson Road, northwest. Northeast Columbia. Northeast. I'm sorry, I'm from Miami, and I still have issues with my directions and claiming things. But anyway, Northeast Columbia. Thank you very much. And it's kind of near the Sand Hills area. So we've been there for. I've just been grassrooting it, man. Just really trying to keep it alive and being a little selfish in that, hey, this is something I want to lose, so you know, let me get in the spot and see if I can, you know, drum up somebody to teach. And been there for about 3 years, and recently we've had an opportunity to work in the Plex, the indoor sportsplex, which is in the Sand Hills area. It's like off to the side where that new sports store is at. So we're there on Thursdays, and then we're at North Springs on Saturdays.
So where do you see your art going as far as what you're doing here in Colombia? The reason why I bring it up is because the folks who don't know, I practiced, well, I still do, not as hard as I used to, but I used to practice Hanga like it was my religion. Hanga is a Southern Chinese style, known as five animal style. And we were always basically doing the same thing you all are doing, trying to find a way to get more people interested in what we were doing, and also by having more students come in, but also trying to propagate the art so people would know what the art was about, trying to educate people about the art itself. So I guess that's my question. As far as like getting it out there, where do you see your art going? Would you mingle with like some of the other martial art schools or venues that are in town? Like if they were to have, like I know sometimes they do have a symposium or something where they have like several styles and in one area, and you'll have like people do sets forms or just whatever their style's known for doing, they'll actually showcase that. Have you gentlemen thought about maybe doing some of that effect, or?
It actually does sound like something we need to go ahead and start looking at. One of the beautiful things about capoeira with the music, the singing, the dance fight, it's like a show, literally. It's just like a show, even if there's just one person with one instrument and two people playing the game. So people always ask us, you know, are you guys doing choreography? It's like, no, it's basic structure. So how are you able to do all this stuff without running into each other? It's like, well, The idea is to kind of get out the way when someone's doing a kick, and if you don't get out the way, you get hit. And it's kind of one of the difficult things about commercializing an art that is so very cultural, and you're trying not to lose that culture, and you're also trying to adapt it to where you're from. I'm not Brazilian, so it's really tough and tricky. When we deal with the martial art aspect of it, a lot of the people in the martial arts community is a little fishy. Like, I don't know, it looks like dancing to me, and they kind of see it as rubbish, rubbish. And let me see, you have people in the dance community who's like, okay, well, that's interesting. So it's like we don't get a chance to fit in, but it's so big that it's really open to a lot of things. So when we do it, we do gather the crowd. So trying to just get that word out is what I want to focus on. And if we can get people to see us doing, I think it kind of speaks for itself. It's really tough to talk about capoeira without actually, seeing what it is. But like I said, the tough part is how do we integrate it and get it out to people without losing the substance, especially considering the lineage that we're from. We really have to hold on. Capoeira regional, the other prominent style is really more commercial ready. That's why you see it in commercials, whether you know that's what you're seeing or not. Capoeira Angola, it's almost in the way that you might think of a slow dance or the bachata, or it's capoeira regional. It's very fast and very energetic, and they keep putting people in there to keep the energy high. So it's a tough deal, but I think that, like I said earlier, just if we can gather some good people around and then good to great things happen, I think people really will begin to respond to that. So it's really getting solid numbers so that we can look at, getting a school somewhere downtown, start doing performances, or not even performances, just having what we like to call the rodas, where people get together and play capoeira. It's not practicing, it's like, this is the circle of the roda. People are playing the game, people are around it, and we're playing the instrumentation where people can see it out on Main Street on Fridays because the school is nearby. That's really where, the end goal will be to get it there.
Well, that kind of goes really into my next question, which is basically, what do you all have planned for the future? And I can tell you that, you speaking of what you just said, I'm thinking to myself, a good place you could start would be Main Street on a first Thursday. It would be something they've never seen before. A lot of folks, they've seen it probably on television, but never up close. I think it would be a good thing to do that. They're always having performers out there, and you get a chance to actually captivate them with the performance and then educate them about this is not really a performance. Yeah, I think that, it'd be something worth looking into.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, but I bring that up to kind of like go into the future. So are you all gonna, you said downtown? So are you gonna try to maybe, since you have, right now you're based out of the Northeast area, are you gonna try to like bring those students downtown or in the downtown area, or are you, I guess what I'm asking is, are you trying to expand? So would you be teaching a class, and would you be teaching class in two separate areas or something, maybe?
I guess whatever it takes. I mean,
I was gonna say that is kind of the ideal situation. We were trying that earlier, but unfortunately, both venues were still on the northeast side. We know we have to get down into the downtown area because that's just where we want to be. But we have to get that core up so we can actually start looking at, effectively renting some space and setting up shop there. Because when you're grassrooting,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm a college professor, so when I'm coming home with all these grades, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm trying to balance these two things to get them out there. But I think that we can make the most impact that way, and especially, like I said, just to get some of the youth to see what we're doing and bring them in and really just grow and keep that new, fresh feeling getting out there. Capoeira is very organic, and it's really difficult to, you don't want to overstructure the garden, but at the same time, you want it to be, a garden and have its life of its own.
Okay. Well, how can anybody, if they want to get in contact with you guys, Could you let us know?
Brian has recently opened up a Facebook.
Yeah, there's a Facebook account, Midlands Capoeira Angola at hotmail.com. It's our email address. So you can look us up on Facebook or that email, Midlands Capoeira Angola at hotmail.com.
And thanks to Izms of Art, the video that he put online for us is garnered so many inquiries, which is great. So people are going right there, and they're looking up and getting calls and getting emails. So it's kind of working out that way. It's slowly pushing. I've been, reluctant on my end to really put my full, foot forward to, get the cards and get everything laid out. But the more you get involved with it, as my teacher said, the more you just get involved with it, regardless of whether you run into or not, you're getting ready to take on the challenge just because you believe in something. And when that happens, people
respond.
Yeah, people respond.
You're gonna see the positive response too, because everybody give Midlands Capoeira a hand.